What's up guys, and welcome back to this week's chapter review of Cucksaw Man. Get ready to don your pitchforks and torches because in today's chapter of Chainsaw Man, chapter 100, we still don't see the main character Denji appear outside of a mention of Chainsaw Man. And in this video, I'm gonna tell you guys why that's a good thing. Get baited, son. But before any of that, class is once again in session. I've linked a poll at the top of the description of this video where you guys can vote on what grade you think chapter 100 of Chainsaw Man should get. A, B, C, D, or F. And in next week's chapter review video, we'll go over the overall chapter GPA of the previous chapter, as well as some of your guys' comments on this video right here. Speaking of which, let's just quickly go over your thoughts on chapter 99. So around 170 or so people voted in the chapter GPA poll, and it seems like after doing the calculations, chapter 99 gets a chapter GPA of 3.59. Which is weird, because that's kind of a considerable drop from chapter 98, and I didn't necessarily think there was much of a difference between quality and impact between 98 and 99, but there was a little bit more B to A ratio than there was in the chapter before that. So that's kind of interesting to think about. Not to say that 3.59 is a bad GPA at all, it's certainly better than any GPA got in high school or college combined, but it's interesting to see that you guys didn't quite like it as much as you liked 98. But enough of the GPA, let's just look at some of your guys' comments. Mr. Yoshi LP says, I enjoy this perspective and having Mitaka as the main character because now it's likely that Denji is doing some devil hunting on the side and we get to see what he's doing with Kishibe, Kobeni, and possibly Naita in future chapters. I'm gonna try not to theorize and enjoy it alongside since Fujimoto did warn from his past one-shot not to over-theorize and just take it for what it is. I definitely think this is an important perspective to have, especially after reading Just Listen to the Song. Tatsuki Fujimoto is a guy that likes to subvert expectations, so even though it's fun to theory craft and make speculations, it's important to not set yourself up for disappointment. Vian Abdullah says, really appreciate the Sigma behavior displayed by Yoshida, and that's exactly what I would consider Hyo from Yoshida. He is a Sigma amongst Sigma characters in the Chainsaw Man universe. True Heart says, I need your Reize shirt too. I'm actually wearing my power hoodie today because I said I wanted to wear my Chainsaw Man swag on chapter review days. So I'm keeping true to that. I think that's about it for the comments today, but remember to leave your own comments down below and maybe we'll look at them in next week's chapter review video. And while you're down in the description looking at the voting link, why don't you leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you like Chainsaw Man related content. Now that we have that shameless YouTuber behavior out of the way, let's just look at chapter 100 of Chainsaw Man. Today's chapter of Chainsaw Man begins much like you would expect. After being told to bring the corpse of a devil back to join the Devil Hunters Club, our trio of 3 new prospective devil hunters, I say 3 new ones, Hirofumi Yoshida, I'm looking at you, go off looking throughout the school to find a devil to kill. And Mitaka's suffering continues, being stuck in a group with Yoshida who, to her knowledge, thinks she asked out in front of the entire school. So Mitaka's essentially dying on the inside right now, but obviously we have the meta knowledge that Yoshida knew that there was something up with her in the last chapter and probably doesn't think she actually likes him. But Mitaka doesn't know that yet. We also finally get the name of the new girl in the group who looks like Kusakabe from part 1, and her name is Yūko. Yūko seems like a nice and energetic girl. She starts off the conversation by talking about how much she loves Chainsaw Man. I just personally found it hilarious that Yoshida was like, oh yeah, I love Chainsaw Man too, like he doesn't personally know the fucking guy. This just serves to keep up the dramatic irony that he's playing dumb around all of his new classmates. But this continuation of chapter 99 was honestly just scene setting, baiting us into thinking that there was going to be some kind of epic devil fight in chapter 100. Instead, the focus quickly shifts to how tormented Mitaka feels being in school. I can only assume accidentally killing a beloved class pet in the manga world is a similar shame to shitting your pants in class in real life. I was never a pants shitter in school, but I did throw up in gym class one time, so I do kinda somewhat understand the shame she must be feeling, but this isn't important. Our expectations were essentially subverted from the action-heavy Chainsaw Man manga we consider normal to a more depressing, tragic slice of life with a main character plagued by misfortune. And to me, this type of dramatic, heavy plot is what made Chainsaw Man Part 1 so special in the first place. Makima manipulating Denji into doing her biddings for her, essentially grooming him. Aki giving up on getting revenge only to turn into the same monster that killed his family, etc, etc. Not that I don't love these action-packed moments or the dark comedic moments, but it's these heavy, dark, depressing moments that stand out as the most memorable to me. And in that regard, regard, I honestly don't mind that neither Denji nor Nayuta have shown up in part 2 yet. I'm sure they will come in at some point and it will be epic and Denji will still be the same horny bastard he always was, but I'm way more invested in Mitaka's journey right now. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the friendship being set up between Yūko and Mitaka. If Chainsaw Man Part 2 is really parallel to Part 1, then we can see these interactions between Yūko and Mitaka as the flip side of the coin to Denji meeting Aki for the first time. Yūko is clearly a very compassionate girl, going as far as to trick Mitaka into visiting her home so she could give her shoes to walk home in. So if Denji and Aki's brotherhood was formed through bickering and fighting all the time, we can assume that Mitaka and Yūko's sisterhood will be formed through caring and compassion. It's like the girls' locker room versus the boys' locker room meme. But that's not what's important here. What's really important is that this just raised the hugest fucking death flag for Yūko. The entire time I was reading this chapter, I had to keep reminding myself, don't get attached, don't get attached. Even if Yūko isn't supposed to serve as a parallel character to Aki, let's just remember that no one's safe and we should keep her at an arm's length in our heart. The last huge thing I wanted to talk about was a smaller detail I noticed, but I think it's going to end up having huge implications later in the story. Did anyone else notice that the War Devil seems to care a little bit for Mitaka? It started out as don't walk home barefoot because our feet will hurt to make you think the War Devil is reprimanding her out of selfishness. But then the War Devil tries to console her, saying that bullying is normal even in Devil Society, even offering to go as far as to take care of the bullies for her. Even in the last page we can see that Mitaka and the War Devil are starting to form some weird kind of friendship where there's even banter involved. Maybe I'm looking a little too deep into this, but if the prediction that a lot of people are having comes true, that Denji might become a love interest for Mitaka someday down the line, how will that affect the War Devil's decision to go to war with Chainsaw Man when she herself cares for Mitaka? Food for thought. It's best not to dwell on pure conjecture, but I'm gonna keep this in mind going forward for theory crafting and whatnot. That's about all for today's chapter review video. If you like this series, let me know by leaving a like and subscribing to my channel. Make sure to stay up to date by hitting the bell button so you'll know every time I post a new Chainsaw Man chapter review video. Also, feel free to follow me on Twitter. I have links to all my socials down in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next chapter review video.